An old object is traveling through our solar system. It's quiet, moves with purpose, and is unlike anything we've seen. Scientists first thought it was a regular comet, an old chunk of ice from far away. But as it gets closer, it seems stranger. Its chemical makeup, its route, and how it glows don't make sense. Now, as it gets very close to Mars, scientists are starting to understand something unbelievable. The object, called 3I Atlas, might not be just passing by chance. The information shows it's moving very carefully, with a clear aim, and possibly a reason. What if this isn't a comet, but part of something or something made by life that once existed on a planet like Mars? The more scientists study it, the clearer it gets. 3 Atlas didn't just show up, it's coming back. From the start, 3IE Atlas acted differently from a normal comet. Instead of mostly frozen water and dust, its materials surprised astronomers. It has a lot of carbon dioxide, some carbon monoxide, and very little water. This is the opposite of all other comets we know about. Its makeup is very much like the air on Mars, which is mostly CO2 and oxygen chemicals. Asteroid P 2019 V2 Atlas either formed in a place like Mars or was once part of a Mars-like planet. Usually, comets are like frozen capsules from when stars first formed. But Atlas is different. It's a piece of something that ended, a world that lived, changed, and then died. Each new piece of information makes it more puzzling, showing it's not a fresh object, but a piece of a former world. Besides its odd makeup, telescopes on Earth and in space saw something even stranger: nickel and iron gases around the comet's bright cloud. These metals shouldn't be a gas in such cold conditions. The area around Atlas is too cold for heavy metals like iron or nickel to turn into gas, yet they were there, floating, charged, and faintly lit. What's even odder is the amount. Atlas has much more nickel than iron, which is not found anywhere else in nature. On Earth and in most other space objects, nickel and iron are always found together in expected amounts. Here, that balance is wrong. Some people even guess it might be what's left of a planet's center, a piece of a world that broke apart and was sent into space between stars. If that's right, 3 Atlas is not only huge, but it was also made by something being destroyed. And whatever ripped it apart wasn't just gravity, it was something else. Then came the most amazing discovery. When 3 Atlas got closest to Mars, devices recorded a sudden, mysterious increase in how bright it was. The light got 6 times brighter in just a few hours, not because of the sun or heat, but because something inside it changed. This happened exactly when it entered Mars's magnetic field, and then it stopped. There was no scattered debris, no blast, just light. Even stranger, its path stayed perfectly steady even though a lot of gas was released around it. Usually, a comet that releases so much material would move off course, like a rocket losing control when it fires an engine. But 3 Atlas didn't move at all. It was as if something was guiding its movement, or holding it firmly in place with unseen accuracy. Scientists tried to explain this by saying it was very dense, claiming it must be thousands of times heavier than any comet we know. But the calculations didn't make sense. That could be found in space between stars. Whatever this 3-eyed Atlas is, it has a strength and steadiness greater than what is naturally possible. Then, a strange green light appeared that would not disappear. Most comets glow green because of a molecule called diatomic carbon, which brightens when hit by sunlight. But tests showed no sign of this, or of any other material that could make that light. The green glow just is. It surrounds the center of the object like a halo, moving in a way that seems almost like a pattern. When scientists looked at how the brightness changed over time, they found a repeating pattern, a hidden beat in the light. The time between these beats matched a very famous signal in radio astronomy, the WOW signal, which was found many years ago from the same part of the sky where the 3-eyed Atlas first appeared. By chance, the likelihood of this matching up is less than 1%. This is a coincidence too remarkable to overlook. It's as if the same source that sent the signal before has now sent something real. A messenger covered in ice and carbon dioxide carrying the same rhythm, the same message, and perhaps even from the same place. The comet was expected to leave the solar system in a normal, curved path, just like all other objects from outside our solar system. However, new information showed something different. The comet's path was not accidental, it was perfectly shaped. Each time it used Jupiter, the Sun, and then Mars's gravity to change direction, it formed a nearly perfect triangle, as if it were being guided. Its journey seemed to follow careful planning, not just random space movements. Computer models showed that even small changes in its speed couldn't explain such accuracy. It was as if 3I Atlas used the planets like steps, perfectly adjusting its movement to reach Mars at the exact right moment and angle. This was not chance, it was a planned event. If it was planned, who planned it? Space agencies remained quiet, making the situation even more puzzling. Some scientists, who did not want to be named, said the chances of this path happening naturally were less than 1 in a billion. As the object passed Mars, sensors on the MAVN and ExoMars spacecraft detected a shock wave that moved through Mars's air. It was not a crash. Instead of a blast, a silent, unseen burst of energy briefly charged the atmosphere's highest parts. For a short time, Mars shone with a soft green ring, like the comet's own light. Instruments that measure ground movement picked up slight shakes below the surface, happening at the same time the objects passed. The event left evidence, a chemical signature in the air with nickel, iron, and unusual elements not found on Mars. To scientists, it seemed like something had moved from one to the other. Information from the orbiter's magnetic sensors even showed a brief matching of the comet's magnetic field with Mars. A complete connection, as if the planet and the object had shared something. There was no explosion, no wreckage, no harm, just a quiet trade followed by complete stillness. In the next few days, detailed images from orbit started to show a line of odd, shiny spots on Mars's surface, covering almost 100 kilometers near its middle. These were not random holes or mineral clumps. They were spaced perfectly, creating a gentle curve that matched the expected path of the 3I Atlas. The mix of nickel and special isotopes could only have originated from the object itself. Some thought this was a natural occurrence. Others saw it as a deliberate placement, a hidden sign, a shaped mark left on Mars. When this pattern was turned into math numbers, it showed a series of repeating comparisons. These comparisons were the same as the flashing light from the comet. This was more than just chance. It was a message sent using shapes. Mars was not just a random stop, it was part of the message. Afterward, information from several space observatories was suddenly held back. NASA and ESA gave unclear reasons, talking about problems with equipment and unexpected sky disturbances, but independent stargazers had already saved the original data. The hidden information proved what the public was never told. When the comet came closest, energy was directly exchanged between 3I Atlas and Mars. This was seen by both electric and gravity sensors. The readings did not match any known event. When compared to the exact path, it showed a troubling image. 3 Atlas did not just pass by Mars, it interacted with it, possibly even waking up something inactive in the planet's electric and magnetic field. The path of the comet was set to cause a reaction in Mars' magnetic field. Some thought Mars itself might have been calling the comet. No matter what was true, all signs suggested a conclusion nobody wanted to speak. 3 Atlas didn't arrive by accident, but on purpose. After 3 Atlas left, Mars should have become quiet again. Instead, something inside Mars started to move. Earthquake sensors all over the planet found quiet rumblings coming from the same area where strange reflections were seen. These weren't normal Mars quakes. They vibrated in a regular pattern, happening every few minutes with a steadiness that natural events couldn't keep up. When these vibrations were turned into sound waves, they matched the pattern in 3 Atlas's green light, a code that now seemed active under Mars' surface. Satellites orbiting Mars confirmed a weak electrical signal coming from the ground, pulsing at the same time as the deep rumblings. The meaning was frightening. Any energy the object put into Mars had not gone away. Something hidden deep within the planet caused unusual activity. A few weeks later, satellites watching the surface noticed something meteorologists couldn't understand. Dust storms started appearing by themselves near the shiny areas. These weren't caused by regular winds, but by heat coming up from below. What really surprised scientists was how they moved. The Martian dust clouds didn't go east like all other storms. Instead, they spun inwards, gathering at one central spot and then disappearing completely. Heat detectors showed a growing hot area underground, covering many kilometers, and changing heat levels at the same 147 intervals seen before with the three eye atlases. Some thought it was just a local heat burst from inside the planet. Others suggested something much stranger, that Mars was reacting, its outer layer moving because a hidden power source had suddenly turned on again. When the spiral storms faded, they left a large, round mark in the red sand. This mark perfectly matched the shape made by the three eye atlases as it traveled through space. Then, a signal was detected. Radio telescopes on Earth, set to observe Mars' magnetic field, started picking up weak energy pulses that came at precise, regular times. It wasn't caused by solar wind or problems in the air, but the pattern was clearly intentional. Each burst had layered sounds at prime number spaces, just like in the old WOA signal. It was the same frequency from the same area in space where 32 Atlas came from. But this time, the signal wasn't from deep space. It was from Mars. When experts put the data back together, they found small changes that matched the locations of shiny spots on the planet's surface. It seemed like the signal was sent from many places at once, a network beating together and sending out a message. The signal was aimed right at the Sun, as if Mars was no longer just a planet, but a signal tower continuing what 3 Atlas had begun. As astronomers watched the signal, something amazing showed up in the night sky. Using special cameras that see light in different colors, scientists noticed a small but repeating change in the Sun's outer layer, a flashing light that matched the timing of the Mars signal. The Sun itself was reacting. For the first time, its outer atmosphere showed a clear wobble that matched the rhythm of both 3I Atlas and Mars. Some people thought it was just a chance occurrence, caused by the Sun's magnetic field. Other people understood what was happening. The vibrations were spreading. The same types of energy that made up the object's power pattern were now part of the Sun's magnetic field, moving out through the solar system. It seemed like the whole system was in sync. The comet, the planet, and now the star were all linked in one rhythmic series. The information showed that the pattern was no longer just going through Mars. It was growing, using the Sun's energy and getting stronger with each new cycle. Something had started, and it couldn't be stopped. Weeks after Mars changed, the Sun started acting in ways never seen before. At first, telescopes noticed small changes in its magnetic field. Then, a clear pattern of regular flashes appeared in the Sun's outer atmosphere, happening exactly every 147 seconds. These weren't normal sun flares. They were too balanced and too regular. The Parker Solar Probe recorded data that no one could explain. Waves of hot gas were moving outwards in perfect circles, just like the path 3I Atlas had taken through the solar system. Each wave carried energy and information in an organized way, not randomly. Changing how dense the solar wind was. Radiation levels went up and down on several spacecraft, creating patterns that matched the signal from Mars. It seemed like the Sun itself was part of a universe-wide vibration, connecting the object, Mars, and now the Sun. Whatever 3I Atlas had sent was no longer alone. It was using the Sun to send out a signal and get power, reaching all planets at once. As the Sun's pulses got stronger, their effects started to show on the inner planets. Mercury's magnetic field, usually unstable and weak, began to move in time with the sun's beat. Venus's upper atmosphere glowed with a faint green light, just like what was first seen around 3I Atlas. On Earth, satellites recorded a sudden increase in magnetic activity that wasn't caused by solar storms. The northern and southern lights became more intense, showing up in places they had never been seen before, shining not in red or blue, but in green. Scientists quickly understood this wasn't radiation. It was a change in pattern. The planets were becoming part of a bigger network of magnetic forces, each one moving in sync with the energy coming from the sun. A significant worldwide discovery. When shown as a 3D map, the network displayed a repeating pattern, which was the same pattern found in the changing brightness of 3I atlases and in the reflective shapes on Mars. What was once just one strange comet had now become a structure across the whole system, and it was still getting bigger. Then, Earth itself started reacting. Radio telescopes worldwide, including new versions of Arecibo and Deep Space Networks, began to pick up weak signals mixed in with the solar wind. At first, they seemed like normal space sounds. But when these signals were processed using the same methods that decoded the Martian message, the findings were clear. The signal's frequency was exactly like the WOW signal, even using the same narrow-band carrier wave. However, this time, the signal wasn't coming from far away. It was close by, coming from inside Earth's own magnetic field. Satellites confirmed that the pulse was now bouncing off the ionosphere, making a continuous connection between the planet and the sun's energy.